What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining the Tully broadcast. So as you can see right now, I'm switching up a little bit. We have, like I said earlier in my last video, there hasn't been much going on in the NFL world. So, and then me and my other friend, Kevin, he's going to be talking about this. We're really into the UFC and just the UFC fighters in general. And this was a huge card. I mean, as you can see, we had three, champ fights. One was for champ. So this was a pretty big card, and every once in a while when there's a huge card, I might have Kevin on, we might talk about it. Now, we were going to do a pre-analysis of the fight, like what we think was going to happen, but my editing software, like I've said before, was shot. Now that I figured it out, we're going to be doing that now, just like a little bit of a post-analysis on the fights and like what happened. In the future, though, like I think the next fight, Kevin, I don't know if you're down, but the next fight that I'm super into is going to be the Giannis, or no, not Giannis. Oh my God,
the Giannis Antetokounmpo fight.
Yeah. Crap. What's that guy? Francis Ngannou's big fight. I'm looking forward to that fight a lot. That's going to be a crazy one.
O'Malley's on the card too.
Yeah, O'Malley's on the card too. So that's a big card as well. So we're probably going to do a pre-analysis of that fight as well. But yes, this is going to be the post-analysis fight of this insane card. So Kevin, you got anything to start before we get going?
No, I'm just ready to go. Let's dive in.
All right, sweet. So obviously the first fight we're going to start with, and with a wild ending, was the Ahmad Sterling versus Peter Yan, or Pietro, however you say his name, Peter Yan. That was a crazy ending. Yeah, what do you got to say about that?
Well, just going into the fight, I'm a big Aljo guy. He actually did like a wrestling seminar at the high school, at Warwick Valley High School. My brothers were there.
Oh, really?
And a guy at the jiu-jitsu school I go to, he actually rolled with him in the past, and seems like a great guy, and he's a New York guy, so I was rooting for him going into the fight. However, I was also questioning how good Jan would be, because obviously he's in the UFC, but he got the title shot by beating Uriah Faber, who's like a 40-year-old, dare I say, bum. Looks like a 50-year-old retired skateboarder in the words of Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And he beat Jose Aldo to get the title, and Jose Aldo doesn't throw any more leg kicks. He's getting older. He's kind of washed. But Aljo opened up like super high pace. Like he was kind of controlling the striking, which I was a little bit surprised by because Jan's a boxer. But what really like started to turn the tide was Aljo, like he got a takedown, but then Jan started taking him down. Like Aljo wasn't defending anything, which was a little bit worrying. But Aljo basically, he just slowed down throughout the fight, which is a little bit worrying because pace was on his side, and that was what he was using to kind of push the fight and kind of assert his dominance, control. And he kind of just slowed down throughout the whole fight. But then there was the ending, of course, that everyone's talking about, which was I think you remember when Anthony Smith fought Jon Jones, like he also ate a knee up against the fence and he continued.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Left Lionheart. That's what they call him.
Yeah. That dude's an animal. He actually fought a dude who tried to burglarize his house or something, which is insane. You hear him tell that story.
I heard about that story too.
But that was a crazy ending to the fight. Completely illegal knee. Like his knee was down. He's basically sitting on the canvas.
And the referee also told he was down as well.
Yeah. The ref told him he was down. But I don't know if you heard this. Like one of his coaches was yelling like knee him. Like you like, go for it, no mercy.
I heard about that. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's actually going back to what you originally said before the ending. We'll talk about that later. But before the ending, me and my friends, we were watching it. Like, I was a little confused as far as I thought, his style was like, it seemed almost a little sloppy. Like, he kind of just seemed like he was all over the place, just doing crazy things. What do you think?
Which one, Aljo? Or
yeah, Aljo. He just kind of seemed really sloppy. Like, he was throwing himself all over the place.
Yeah. So, like, when he first opened up, he was looking really good. Like, his strikes were strong. Everything, like, his technique looks good. But like that's the thing about like being a pace fighter, like guys like Khabib and Conor and George St. Pierre, like they're all pace fighters, and Colby Covington too. But you got to be able to keep up the pace. You can't just open up going crazy and not be able to continue it because you're just gonna gas yourself out. And that's exactly what he did. Like he was throwing a bunch of strikes. He was definitely leading. He probably threw more strikes than Jan did in the first round. But as the fight went on, like he literally just tired himself out, and he's trying to keep up the pace. But when you don't have the endurance, you're gonna get sloppy, like you said, and you're just gonna start throwing wild strikes, and that's not really it's not really what you're supposed to do in a fight. Like you're supposed to kind of stay clean and crisp, but
Yeah.
couldn't really keep up with his own pace. One of the things I thought was interesting though is Aljo. I mean, he wrestled like Cortland, which is D3, but he's still known for his wrestling and his grappling. And I feel like because he was pushing such a high pace at the striking, he wasn't defending Jan's takedowns because
Hmm.
Jan was able to take him down at will. It looked like Aljo's the wrestler, so it looked like he should have been able to defend them, but Jan was just taking him down whenever he wanted to, which is a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, yeah, it was definitely a weird fight, but and then now we can go into the ending. Now the ending was absolutely crazy. Now so I did hear, Khabib go over to Joe or whatever. I think he told him that like, yeah, he heard his corner say hit him or something like that. Now, do you think maybe they were like not like kick him in the face, they were just like punch him maybe or something like that, not like kick him?
From what my understanding is there was one guy I saw like a video like this guy was going in the corner. This guy was going crazy. He was like kick him, no mercy. Like he was literally saying like no mercy as if they weren't in a fight with rules. And
Yeah.
then I think it's his head coach. I'm not entirely sure who he was. But he was like kind of like the guy was like jumping and like leaning into the cage, and the guy was like pushing him down, like basically telling him to shut up, like
Yeah.
because he's gonna cost him the fight, which he did. And
Uh,
then Jan, I guess he was showing no mercy that night, and he did knee him in the face, which was kind of a stupid decision because I had Jan winning that fight. Like I don't really think it was a very close fight. Like you could have given Aljo round one, but in combination like with the takedowns that Jan was landing and how Aljo was slowing down, it wasn't
mhm.
looking like
I
Aljo was
agree.
going to win. So
I agree
I
as well.
don't see
If it
why
went
he
all
did that.
five, I thought that was going to be pretty tough for Aljo. But
Yeah.
now that actually kind of brings me to another point. Joe was saying that the judges had it like pretty close, and I think that if he had lost the two, like if Aljo had gotten up right, then Jan would have probably lost 2 points or something like that. So that would have probably set him back. But they had him
Yeah.
kind of uh they had the fight a lot closer than I actually thought it was. I agree with you. He probably had the first round, but I thought the next couple were like kind of heavily favored Peter Yan. But I don't think apparently, according to Joe, that wasn't really the case. What do you think to that?
No, I agree. That happens like when a legal strike is thrown. Like a while ago, like months ago, Cowboy fought. I think it was like Nico Price, and Cowboy's losing that fight, but he got poked in the eye and like kicked in the balls a couple times, so they took
Mm-hmm.
away a point. And Cowboy would have lost that fight if he didn't get poked and stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Um, and they ended up drawing because like the other dude lost the points. So in this fight, like that's probably what would have happened. I forget, was it round 3 or 4 that he
Before.
landed the knee? Yeah, round 4. So if you give Aljo the first round, and then you're gonna have to give Aljo that round because that was a completely illegal strike.
Exactly.
That's 2-2 going into the fifth. So he could have won that if he got his energy back.
Yeah.
Regardless, I don't think he would have won.
I don't think so.
But he stuff like that like leads to a closer fight than it should be.
Yeah. 100%. I agree. But now also you got to go into the fact too, where it's kind of crazy, like how upsetting that was for him too, winning. That's such a weird feeling. This is something that he's probably dreamed of, reaching UFC gold and stuff like that, coming from sort of, like we said before, like you said, he comes from Cortland State University. So, kind of coming from a small school, small up, and now all of a sudden this is the moment he's for his UFC gold, and he gets it, but in such a weird way. So, I mean, this must be awful, like knowing like how he feels about that.
I totally agree. That's what I like after the fight, like he was on the floor, he was crying and stuff, like
Yeah.
totally understand it. Like you're in a fight, you're competing in front of millions of people watching, like it's an insane situation. And in the interview, he was like, yeah, he told them he wanted to do an interview, which was a little bit weird because you don't
Very
usually
weird
do an
kid.
interview unless you get concussed.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I wish I didn't win this way. We got to run it back, which is all good. And then what I found weird is like, no disrespect, like this dude's in the UFC, beat my ass, but like then he goes on Instagram and he's kind of posting pictures with the belt, like he's squaring off with Henry Cejudo. So
Really?
like he's kind of, if you just looked at Instagram, you would have thought he won like legit, like in a
Huh.
legitimate way. But he didn't. So it was a little bit weird. Like a lot of people were a little bit upset by that because people thought he was faking to begin with, which I totally don't agree with. Them. This man got kneed
Yeah.
in the face illegally, like super clean knee, wasn't expecting it. But the Instagram stuff kind of bothered me a little bit.
Where do
So
you
that
see that
was a
on
little
Instagram? I'm
bit
looking at
weird.
his Instagram right now. He's on his story or something like that.
I think well, there are videos of him going into like his house and like opening up the belt
Ah,
and like kind of showing it off and like everyone's
yeah.
clapping and like that kind of contradicts what he was saying. Like I get you on the belt, but like if that's
You
what you're gonna
it's a
say
little
in the
weird.
octagon, don't go home and do that and post it on Insta. Honestly, go home and do whatever you want, but don't post it on Instagram. Like that's
Yeah.
not a good look for you. Like that's kind of people are like looking at Jan as the villain, but now it's kind of turning the
Weird.
tables. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't really understand that.
That's speaking of an awful look. Did you? I'm sure you saw that. Remember when Jan had his hand up? I remember looking at the fight. I was like, all right, fella. Like, dude.
Oh, dude, that
When
was
he-
like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, really,
yeah.
like you literally just could have
You
harmed
won.
this man legitimately,
Yeah.
and you knew that was an illegal strike, and you still put your hand up. Like, I agree, he would have won the fight, but like, you just lost the fight, so
Yeah.
don't do that. Like,
And another weird thing too is, which I don't understand, is this man's a champion. Like, he's a good. Like, why would he do that? Like, how does he not know that that can't be done? You know what I
I
mean? Even if he got advice from like a crazy guy of a crazy coach on one of his sides,
yeah,
like, this
yeah.
man's a champion. How do you not know? Like, dude, this is not what you should do.
Yeah, you are the top of your weight class in the
Yeah,
promotion, and you should know. And like it goes to the same thing with Jon Jones. It's like you should know the rules, like, and you're gonna win the fight. So why are you jeopardizing that for
yeah,
yourself? Like I get that it's a fight, and that's intense enough. And then you got a bunch of people watching. It's for the UFC. So I get there is some sort of pressure where you may not be in the greatest state
yeah.
of mind. You might be in a little bit of fight or flight and kind of more reactionary. But I still don't understand that. Like you still know the rules. So
I don't understand it either. I thought it was
yeah,
very strange, to be honest with you. But okay, off to this fight. I think we got a good amount on that. On to the next fight, and honestly, I don't even know if we really need to go much into this. This was ridiculous. This fight was absolutely gross, and this woman is absolutely gross. Amanda Nunes is the clear woman's goat. I don't get why she's fighting still. Like, why is she doing this? Who is there to beat? That she has beat everyone. I don't get it. Like, what is she doing? I mean, I guess it's for the money and it's to be like, yeah, I'm awesome, but she's so good. What do you think?
she's kind of turning into like what Chris Cyborg was, and
Mhm.
kind of that plus like a female Mike Tyson. Like I feel like everyone's going into the fight. Like I'm not the fighter, so I don't know, but my guess would be everyone's going in like, holy shit, sorry, it's Amanda Nunes.
No, dude, you can curse. Shit.
All right, holy shit, it's Amanda Nunes. Like she knocks everyone out at will, and she got incredible jujitsu. She like every fight where you're like, oh, is she good at this? Like I remember, oh, she fought Chris Cyborg, she knocked her out. Like everyone was like, who can she knock out Chris Cyborg? And she did it. And then she fought another girl, and everyone was like, oh, how good is she at wrestling? And then
Yeah,
she took her down the whole fight
yeah,
and just did like some ground and pound. And then in this fight, like I don't think anyone's ever questioned her jujitsu, but she submitted. She got I think it was like an inverted mounted triangle Americana lock, which is like pretty much
crazy.
unheard of. It was probably the first submission that of that kind in the UFC.
Hmm.
So she's easily like all around the greatest woman fighter of all time, at least at the upper weights. Like I guess you could make an argument for Shevchenko, even though Shevchenko lost to her twice, even though a lot of people think one of those fights was uh, a win by Shevchenko.
Yeah,
But like you said, there's no one to fight. There's no one for her to fight. So everyone saw like the only other the thing about the women's division is that it's so top heavy. Like there's not too many women, like or at least as many women as there are men who fight. Like you go to the 145-pound division and you have like just straight up killers like all throughout the roster
yeah.
in the men's division. But then you look at the women's and there's really not too many women fighting like they just don't choose that as a profession. So like which is understandable, but like
Yeah,
there's just not enough women for her to fight. Like it's
she's
in
beat
the
everyone.
women's
Yeah,
division, you can name all the best women on both your hands. Like They're probably less than 10. You got like Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Jungwei Lee,
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm, I guess, Shevchenko, Jędrzejczyk, and I could be missing a couple
You
others,
say
but like
you say Yana or whatever? You
Joanna
said her name right.
Jędrzejczyk, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But like, there's just not enough women for her to fight, so they're talking about having a third fight with Shevchenko, which I think is like kind of the only option right now.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I think is like why nobody can beat her is probably because no one hits like her, regardless of just competition, but like just in training, like she like no one hits like her. You really can't find a sparring partner who's gonna be on that level. If you did, then they would be they would be the UFC champion, or they might be a guy.
Yeah.
Like literally, like there's really probably no one they could spar with to prepare for her to create like some sort of realistic situation where like you have someone similar to the skill set of Amanda Nunes, but it's really incredible how great she is, and I think that the Shevchenko fight is the only one to make.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, like this is a little controversial, but like she genuinely hits like a dude. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
my jiu-jitsu coach told me that like he had, but when she was really early on, he had like sparred with her a couple of times, and he said he saw her drop a dude. Like she's the only woman he's seen drop a dude.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was telling my friends. And like now I understand this is crazy. I'm not even really, this is not a take that I'm willing to die on, but I genuinely think that like if you gave Amanda Nunes, I think she'd have a outside shot of beating up like a really shitty UFC guy.
Give her an unranked flyweight.
Yeah, I think she's got an outside shot. I do. I really do. I really think she has an outside shot of doing it. And that's the only woman I can ever say that on any sport in general, ever. I do. Like if she fought CM Punk, like a CM Punk level guy,
beating the shit out of CM Punk.
I really do think she'd have a pretty good shot against him.
In any way she wants to.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean that's enough with her. I mean, like she again, like we said, there's not much to talk about with her because she's that good.
She's literally
too dominant. She's literally too dominant. All right, so on to the next fight, and this was the main event, and this was a fight I was super excited for. I'm a pretty big Israel Adesanya fan. The only thing I don't like about him, and I was telling my friends about it here at school, and I think we've talked about it too. Like, he's just a little cringy at times. He does like some things. I'm just like, all right, dude, like this is a little much. But again, I'm a pretty big fan of him. So this was a crazy fight going into it. This was for the champ. And I thought Izzy was gonna win. I really did. What do you think?
I also thought he was gonna win. I thought the only way he could lose was a lot of the times. He kind of, if he gets flurried or something, he kind of defends like Jon Jones does. Like he kind of sticks his arms out and just backs up. And sometimes he gets stuck on the cage. So I think this happened against like Silva when he fought Anderson Silva and probably a couple other guys. But he likes to back up against the cage, and his back is against the cage. And he doesn't really circle out very well.
Yeah.
So I thought he was just going to get caught on the cage. But I obviously didn't think about the wrestling. What really stood out in this fight, just to kind of talk about the ending a little bit, his grappling defense against the fence is insane. Like you can't take him down against the fence, and if you do, he's getting right back up.
Yeah.
What Jan did is what Blachowicz did. He took him down right in the center of the cage, and he did not let him get to the fence. He just sat on him in the center of the cage. So Adesanya, that kind of showed a hole in one of Adesanya's game, which was it was pretty interesting to see.
It was, and you know what? Also, like that was the thing. And we were texting about this, me and Kevin. Like I think either the night of, or the day of, or maybe the night before, when we saw the weigh-ins and stuff like that. And he was underweight with a whole pizza in his hand, like you know, he was 5 pounds underweight with like a 2-pound pizza, like a whole pie. So, so I was kind of wondering like what is going to win, because obviously you know Jan, he makes the weight at 205, right? But you know right away he goes and he gets all of that weight right back, and he gets back to like, what do you think, maybe 215, 220?
He probably gets back to 220, in between 220 and 230.
Yeah, so he gets somewhere around there. So now this man is a whole like 30 pounds heavier than, you know, Izzy, because Izzy is not gaining more weight. And his whole take was, you know, I can only get so much stronger. And I understand that to a certain point, but that I think is kind of what killed him, because what you saw was Jan, at least what I thought was he'd take him down, right? And now there's like 30 extra pounds of just dead weight kind of laying on him. There really wasn't much. Like Izzy wasn't strong enough to get up, I felt like. So that's kind of why I thought my big takeaway was he just wasn't big enough to get up in these takedowns, and Jan just kind of dominated him with the takedown and having him on the ground like that.
I agree. That was the thing was the trade-off was, I mean, he said, and I think his coach said, he's never going to be stronger than Blachowicz, even if he worked out
Yeah,
the whole camp. If he just lifted weights and focused on bulking the whole camp, like he's not
yeah,
going to be stronger or bigger than him. So he was like, instead of trying to get stronger and changing the way his body feels, he'll just go into it as he normally does as a middleweight. You just won't cut weight. That's why I thought this fight was really cool, because it was really one of the first times ever, at least in recent history, where you have like a true, like you have like Conor McGregor going up, becoming
yeah.
champ. You got Jon Jones coming up, like whoever you want to
Heavy.
call. But yeah, like, but these guys are gaining weight, becoming like Conor McGregor wasn't a 145 or fighting at 55. He was a 155 or fighting at 155. Like
Yeah,
he bulked up, like, and he didn't cut as much weight. But Adesanya, he's going up a weight class and he's not cutting any weight. So this is this was really cool because it was a true middleweight fighting a true light heavyweight.
uh-huh.
So it was really cool to see that. And again, the trade-off is he's never going to be stronger, but Adesanya had the clear like speed advantage. Like he was way quicker than Jan. And that was the thing. He wanted to keep his speed instead of trying to gain the strength, which I kind of thought it was a smart decision, but that's the trade-off. If you're going up
Yeah,
and you're fighting a stronger guy, that stuff's going to happen.
yeah.
Like you got to be aware of the size.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of thought too, where I was wondering, like, this was a huge test against the whole what's better, speed versus size, and clearly speed or size has won this match. But I think if he was going to do this again, I don't know if this is what he wants to do in the future again, but if he were to go for Blachowicz again, I think what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to just focus on takedown defense. Because, yeah, I think you're right. He had him in the stand-up game as far as him being faster, but his takedown defense, like we said, you said is great on the 8 cages, but like he just can't be taken down at all, because once he got taken down and was properly taken down, he couldn't get up because, again, he had that size. He doesn't have the
Yeah.
size.
Especially against he said that he's going to go back to middleweight and defend his title
Yeah.
maybe a couple of times. I mean, he's got Marvin Vettori who could fight again. He's got Darren Till.
Mhm.
Probably a couple other guys. But he said he's going to go down first, and then he's going to go up to light heavyweight again. He said he'd make a return. But that's the thing. If he chooses to do the same thing again, he's got to work on his takedown defense in the open cage, because he will not be able to get up. Like I think against the Kelvin, I don't even think he got up against Kelvin Gastelum when he took him down the middle of the cage. I think he just fought off his back, which is fine. But he's either going to have to get some crazy jiu-jitsu off his back, or he's going to have to really work on that takedown defense in the open cage, not on the fence.
Agreed.
That's where he's super strong, which is against the fence. But it's a whole different game in the middle of the cage instead of being on the fence, because you got a wall basically behind you, so it's completely different. Like you can put your weight on that, you can lean on it, you could push off of it.
Yeah.
So it's very different. But he said he'd be back, and I'm interested, like you said, I'm interested to see if he stays at the size he is and takes the speed, which didn't seem like a terrible option, because I like it. All right, well, just to go into the results of the fight, I think it should have been a split decision. I don't know about you, because I had round 1 and 3 being Adesanya clearly. Then round 2 was kind of up in the air. I would have personally given it to Blachowicz, but I could see why you give it to Adesanya. And then obviously in 4 and 5, like Blachowicz won very convincingly, because he just laid on him, like not to shit on his style, but he just laid on him and was just punching him, it's going to win you. It's not
it's going to win.
Fighting fight, but it's going to win you the fight. So I thought that was pretty convincing. But I did have an issue with the judges in that, saying that it was a unanimous decision. I thought it would have been a split decision, but it's whatever.
I also have a weird problem too. Was this the fight? Yeah, this was, right? They had there was one judge that had it 49-46, and then there's 2 other judges that had it 49-45 and 49-45, and almost kind of like a blowout. Like, I thought that was sort of ridiculous.
Dana White talked about it, and he said the judges were just throwing out 10-8s, and a 10-8, like Dana White said, is an ass whooping. Like it's like if you fight Khabib and he just lays on you the whole time. Like 10-8 is a complete dominant performance, and
I don't think we saw that,
destroying the other guy, and the guy who's getting destroyed not doing anything about it. Like that's a 10-8. A 10-8 is not like a decent like where both guys are active, and and kind of presenting themselves and showing their offense. Like even in the rounds that Izzy got taken down, like he was still.
Trying to get up.
I thought he still had the advantage on the feet. Like
Yeah.
Blachowicz had to take him down. Like Blachowicz was
Mhm.
doing all right on the feet, but I think Adesanya was still like controlling the fight on the feet. So this just goes back to how terrible the judges are in the UFC. Like
Exactly.
Dana White's solution to that problem is don't leave it to the judges. But I think that's a bad answer because like a lot of people don't fight to finish, like or they can't finish. Like you got guys like Max Holloway who are incredible performers and like super exciting to watch, but they don't finish every fight. Like
Yeah.
so I that just goes back to the problem of having
The
just
judges.
terrible judges in
Yep.
the highest level of the sport, which is like pretty
UFC.
unacceptable. And I wonder when they're going to fix that because I think it has to happen eventually because there's
I
been
hope
a
they do
ton of
too.
bogus decisions.
I hope they do too. Now, I mean, I obviously think probably Jan probably did win this one. But I just thought like a blowout, like that seems crazy to me. It wasn't a blowout at all. Like I thought it
Not
was
at all.
ridiculous. But now, so now to go in the future also for Izzy, this is kind of upsetting because I was just thinking there was maybe an outside chance that if he had won this fight, that maybe just maybe Jon Jones would have came back down and said, "Hold up now, let me get this back from you, son." I was pretty excited about that, but obviously he didn't win that, so that has to happen. But now, where do you think Jon Jones goes? Because I'm also a big Jon Jones fan, and I think that you see him on Instagram, he's getting huge. Just he's getting Aki.
He's looking like his brothers now.
Yeah, I think there's a super maybe that he fights if he can be if Francis can beat Stipe. Are we going to see a Jon Jones Francis fight?
Well, to go back a little bit, I don't think that it would have been cool to see, but I think the fight would have turned out similar to how the Blachowicz Adesanya fight turned out.
Huh?
Like, I think Izzy is definitely a better striker. He's quicker, but I think Jones would have just mauled him on the ground. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think Adesanya stood a chance, to be honest. I had Jones all the way in that fight. Like, it would have been exciting. It would have been cool to see him fight in the feet, but like that fight, like Jones is too big and he's too good of a wrestler to
yeah,
not take him down and win the fight that way.
yeah.
However, yeah, like you said, Jones is looking gigantic. Maybe some steroid use in there. Who knows?
No, 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 no.
I don't know.
We're not
Maybe some
talking about
gas
that.
station dick pills.
Yeah, there's
Maybe
a
some
taint and dick pill.
programs. Um, but to be fair though, he's probably never really focused on powerlifting like that. Like he's probably never focused on getting big because he was in light heavyweight and he was
Yeah,
staying kind of skinnier, staying smaller, like
yeah,
focusing on his game more. But now I see how he could definitely bulk up to that size. He's got great genetics.
yeah.
However, though, I'm pretty sure Dana White said Jon Jones just came out and said there's no contract or anything, so he doesn't know what's happening. But Dana White, I'm pretty sure, came out and said that Jones will fight the winner of Stipe versus
Oh,
Francis. Now that's going to be Stipe versus Francis is going to be an insane fight because
itself.
you know how the first one turned out, and the question is how much better has Francis gotten, and is Stipe on the same level because he got knocked out by DC?
Hmm.
But like that fight gets me super excited.
If there is Jon Jones versus Francis, I'm going to blow my mind if that happens. It's going to be crazy because again, like Jon Jones is an absolute legend. This man has not lost. The only person that can beat Jon Jones is freaking Jon Jones himself, dude. So this would be an insane, insane fight, dude. And if Francis can do it, because Francis, the thing that's so crazy about Francis is like he's like one finger touch away from you just being knocked out. And the whole legend behind Jon Jones never losing is done. Is absolutely done.
Yeah,
That would be ridiculous. It would be insane if that happened.
yeah. Francis literally has to touch him. He's definitely got the size advantage. I think they're the same height, but I think Francis's arms are a little bit longer, so he's got the reach.
Wow.
Yeah. He's
Really?
got
That's
like
my
I
first
think
time for
he's
Jones.
6'4". His wingspan is probably close to like 6'9",
That's
which is
crazy.
insane. So you got a crazy ape index. However, I think whoever wins the Francis versus Stipe fight, which is going to be a great fight by itself, whoever wins is going to be a great fight because you got Francis and Stipe are both boxers. Francis
Mhm.
may not be. He may look more like Deontay Wilder than Tyson Fury. He's more power over technique, but we'll see how much better he's gotten.
Mhm.
But Stipe was Golden Gloves boxer, like so he's a fantastic boxer. That's what he's known for in the feet.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Jon Jones. He's a great striker. He's got great unorthodox technique. He's got the
Hmm.
crazy long legs and the oblique kicks and everything. But his boxing has been the weakest part of his game throughout his whole career. Like
Yeah.
he said it himself. Like you don't really see him throwing a couple punch combos. He doesn't have one punch knockout power. So
Yeah.
that fight, whoever he fights, is going to be super interesting, and I'm super excited because there's so much uncertainty around it. Because Jon Jones is probably the greatest fighter of all time, and then you got Stipe, who's the greatest heavyweight of all time, and you got
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou, who's the most powerful guy
Oh,
maybe in all of combat sports history. Like
yeah.
Mike Tyson, like it's him and Mike Tyson. Like
Dude, it's
there's
ridiculous.
really no other comparison.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but that whoever wins the Francis Stipe fight, like regardless of who wins, whoever fights Jon Jones, it's going to be a great
gross.
fight. So I'm
It's gonna be
super
gross.
excited for that.
So yeah, and I can count on us for 100%. We will be doing pre-analysis and probably post-analysis too of all the fights that we feel is big. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up with this because this is going a little bit, but this was really fun. I definitely think that we will definitely be doing pre-analysis fights of UFC 260, which I believe is the 27th, right?
Somewhere around there, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
couple weeks.
I think it might be March 27th or maybe sometime in April, maybe April 3rd or something. But yeah, so it's coming up. But we're definitely going to do a pre-analysis fight of that fight. That's going to be ridiculous, and I cannot wait. But yeah, Kevin, you got anything else to say before we end this?
It was very fun. Great talking to you.
Yeah, word. All right, guys. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy. Peace out.